What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zcash today, ZEC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. Okay, it is the 31st and final day of May. We have 8 hours and 48 minutes left in this day, 8 hours and 48 minutes left in this week, 8 hours and 48 minutes left in this month. What a special thing to be closing all these, and 8 hours 48 minutes left in the 3-week time frame as well. All these significant. It wouldn't be the 2 month, no. Maybe the 3 month? No. What a significant thing to be closing all these time frames at the same time here. $546 is the price. And I want to talk about a few outcomes, right? First and foremost, before we get started, I am not decided really one way or another right now. For a time here, we were bullish and saying that we were going to go higher. I mean, the measure move of this bull flag endeavor could take us up to $1,000 and even beyond there. There's even projections to $3,000. That is a possibility. It's also possible that we have some type of double top M-shaped pattern that could take us back below $100. That's quite the span of $1,000 to $3,000 to talking about prices below $100. We're tracing most of this move up. It's maybe getting a higher low relative to this. Quite a range. So let's go over the possibilities. The dynamics are definitely there for a double top. The thing that has me the most concerned, and what's really had me hopping on the bullish train late for Zcash here, is the lack of volume. Now, the monthly time frame, you can see here, there is a lack in volume. But to be fair, what we're seeing here as far as volume is concerned is actually greater than what we saw on average for like 2.5 years here. From like the end of 2022 to the middle of 2025, we saw a very low, or at least we saw volume that wasn't anywhere comparable to what we saw here, right? Maybe at times, but on average it was less than this. This is pretty acceptable volume. But in relativity to this movement here, it's not that much. It might not be enough. For example, we look at the weekly time frame here. You moved up with an exuberant force here, a lot of volume coming in. Here you're moving up again. This is a weaker attempt. This is a weaker attempt and there's less volume. Let's look at Bitcoin real quick. Let's just reference Bitcoin, okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about here. We look at Bitcoin and we're on the index. Let's go to Binance because Binance is a little bit more reliable with the volume there. Okay. And we go here. Look at how powerful of a movement this was. And then look at how powerful this was. This was even more powerful here and there was more volume coming in. We're moving up here. Look at that powerful movement. There's volume coming in. And then here it's a little bit less powerful. Still powerful, but a little bit less powerful, less volume. A little bit less powerful, less volume. A little bit less powerful, less volume. And the volume that came in was to the downside. Sorry. You can see strength at first in this trend, and then it slowly tapers off, and that's whenever this shift happens. And that's more of a methodical process that takes a little bit more time to develop. This is not taking nearly as much time to develop, but that is a very massive move with a very, I mean, it's just very, very bullish with a very large amount of volume. Here, this move is a little bit more lackluster. It's notably so, and notably less volume. This breakout of this area here has happened entirely without volume. It's kind of interesting. And then you've got the double top scenario playing out as well. This could be a point of contention at which we reject. It's vital that when Zcash gets above this high, that we see volume come in. If not, for the bearish case, it's vital that when you break this trend, that volume comes in there. When the volume comes in, whatever side the price chooses, when the volume comes in, that will back that move up. And backing up a bearish move from here likely implies we go below these lows. Likely implies that we work our way down even below $100. Breaking out from here and getting some volume coming in likely takes us above $1,000. We could even see prices as high as $3,000 or more. Crazy stuff can happen. So we're at this very pivotal, critical moment right now. And yes, you're down 16% this week, whatever. You've been a little bit volatile here, right? It's not as simple as just coming up and then hitting it once and then rejecting. You've been up here for like a 4-week period, nearly a month. It's no small, it's not like an immediate rejection point. It doesn't make it easy. But let's look at the short-term stuff and see if we can decipher this a little bit. Okay, we'll look at the 1 hour and then we'll zoom out from there. 1 hour time frame here. If we're looking at this, your price action has, taken a bit of a dive. And you are rounding out a little bit. That's nice to see. You're rounding out just a little bit here. probably see some type of retracement to the upside if I had to guess. Looking at this here from a high to a low, high to low, you're finding support at the at the 236. I would think that you do move up from here. The 0.5 golden ratio does stand to serve as a point of resistance. If you find resistance here and come back down, you might bounce, you might continue lower. We'll see how it goes from there. But from right now, I do expect that we'll see prices somewhere around 611 to 625 again, something like that. If before we get to this area, you find resistance at any area underneath it, and you start closing daily time frames below this 236, or even maybe multiple 4-hour time frames in a row below the 236 at 541, if you start doing that kind of behavior, we start closing below this line, then at that point, this target area is off the table and we will start projecting lower targets, okay? It's vital that you hold $541 as support. In other words, okay, you don't want to go below there. 541 needs to maintain support if you want to get back above $600, if you want to maintain the idea that we're not in some kind of double top scenario. Again, even looking at this on the 1-hour time frame, you can see this double top scenario playing out, right? You've got the high here, the higher high here, it's this double top, and then the M that takes shape. As soon as you get below this, I mean, I shouldn't say as soon as you get below this, but the overall move down took you below this. And once you got below there, that's where the low point kind of started to form. Anyways, looking at the indicators, the RSI looks bullish in my opinion. The stochastics are bullish, bouncing off the 50, and the MACD here, I mean, the MACD is also bullish. Yeah, it looks good. It all looks good. 4-hour time frame. What's bullish about this, sorry, I'm clearing out my throat. What's bullish about this is that you've broken out of your downtrend. Okay, you've broken out of your downtrend. You're finding support where you found support before. You even have a somewhat of a higher low. And on the note of volume, as you're moving down, volume has tapered off a little bit as well. So when you move up, we want to see that volume come in. We really, if and when you get above these prices here, you want to see that volume come in as well. But if we get a rejection here in this 600 area, 620 area, and we come down and volume starts to pick up as we're coming down, that could imply lower prices to come. And that might work out for this overall double top scenario. We'll see. But right now, the 4-hour RSI looks bullish. The stochastics look bullish. And the MACD technically is postured. It's postured bullishly, but it's in a bearish environment overall. I think you're postured to do a couple of things here, right? Either the MACD, let's zoom in on this a little bit. Either the MACD is going to come up and reject the zero with its oscillators, and get this lower high in this kind of trend down here with your oscillators. You can see the oscillators there, right, trending maybe. Find resistance at the zero, or the more bullish approach, you'll break through the zero. And if you do that, again, I would really strongly believe that not only are you going above $600, but you're probably going above $700. You might see a higher high relative to this. So it depends on a few things, right? We're not quite there yet. I assume that this week we will make an attempt up here. If we move up here and we reject, that likely coincides with a rejection of the zero. Not good. Likely coincides with the rejection of the overbought zone here, and then falling back from the overbought zone. The stochastic's not good. It's not what you want to see. There's still hope that you could find support and move up later. It's not like a complete detriment, but really the idea is what you don't want to do is come up to this area and then come back down to the 236. You don't want to do that. You want to stay away from this. You don't want to break through that area. You can flirt. You can come down a little bit and flirt and whatever, and then break through. That's fine. That's bullish. But if we come up here and then we go below the 236, that has some very serious implications to the downside, you guys. Not just below $400, but below $300, below $200, and maybe even in time below $100. Daily time frame here, this is a little bit more of a bearish approach. The daily RSI, you have broken out of your upward sloping trend. You have. This movement up could be just a lower high in what is a newly established downward sloping trend, right? And that really does coincide with this idea of going up to $600, $620, somewhere up here. And with that, you could even be forming some type of head and shoulders pattern. This is where volume is really important, guys. Head and shoulders, the way that a head and shoulders pattern works, typically, is that volume dies off. It just slowly dies off. So if we move up here, there's not a lot of volume on this move and it's dying off as we're moving up, that feeds into this narrative of a head and shoulders pattern playing out, okay? If you get some excessive volume here, volume starts to build, it can look like a head and shoulders pattern in the price, but that volume building like that might throw the pattern off, and that could give you a chance of, instead of coming down here, maybe you come down here and you find support and you continue to move up. You get rid of that head and shoulders look. I'm not decided one way or another. I'm really not decided. What I am decided on is that we'll move up to $600 or more, probably. What I'm not decided on is what we do after that. I'm not decided on that. It's hard to say. But we have time. We'll figure it out. It's either going to be glorious or calamitous, one of those two. Stochastics are oversold. Reset the last time you were here. You're at the low point here. You saw a move up. You found a higher low, and then you moved up. That's effectively the same thing that we're looking for here. Move up, get a higher low, and then continue to move up. That's the move we're looking for, right? Get into the overbought zone. Get into the overbought zone. All that stuff. Last time you were here in the RSI, same thing. You're bullish overall. The bearish thing is that you broke out of the uptrend, but you can still move higher. Sometimes upward trends turn into sideways trends, right? Here, you broke out of your uptrend. You had higher lows here. You broke out of it here, and look at what you did. You were moving sideways instead, and in that sidewaysness, you continued to move higher. You went from a price of 271 all the way up to 736. So absolutely, even though you've broken out of this, you're still bullish overall. It just depends on what you do from here. Okay, MACD is still bullish. Yes, you're red here, but that's the deepest red you've seen. It's the highest low that you've seen. It's hidden bullish divergence. It's not a problem. Oscillators are above the zero. You're starting to stave that bearish momentum. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, it's the same old song and dance this whole damn video. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm not a big fan of the double top here on the weekly RSI. Stochastics have been overbought for a little while, and the bounce you got off the zero line, it made this move. Could this move be at an end? This double top is really concerning here. It's something to address. That's why, again, $541 is an important area to hold. We start closing days below 541. I'm going to start getting really frisky with this idea that this is a double top. And what I mean by double top is not that we drop here and then we come back up. It's that we drop here and we go below this low. If we go below that low, the target area implied would be $129 to $81.70. And that golden ratio right there, that golden ratio target, the 1618, it's right there at prior resistance, right there at prior resistance, right there at prior support. It makes a lot of sense. If we go higher, we take the high to the low here, same targets, 1272 to the 1618, $1,900 or $1,098 to $1,800 basically, somewhere in this zone. That zone also makes a lot of sense. We don't have the history here, I don't think. Let me go to the all-time history. Let's just see. High to low. Or maybe not. Maybe I thought for some reason that 1272 lined up there. But still, new all-time highs nonetheless. That would be an exuberant move in itself. And you absolutely could go higher. But time will tell. I got nothing else. I hope I've given you guys some things to think about. At any rate, we're at 544 now. Sorry, 554 now. I expect that we will move above $600 probably this coming week. It's what we do afterwards that really matters. Okay, and if we don't move up from here, if we move below 540, 541, that's a problem. 541 is the area to watch as far as the bears are concerned, and getting higher highs is the area to watch as far as the bulls are concerned. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.